Okay, guys. This is another quick video. I'm sorry. I tend to get, as you know, I get like 2 or 3 done in one day. I had a question asked to me by a couple of people because obviously I don't go out very often as I'm a mother, but when I do, because of being an ex-smoker, I get a lot of questions of how do you stop yourself from being tempted to have cigarettes. The truth is, they stink. And they are disgusting. And they are horrible. I can smell a smoker from, they can be like a good 10, 15 foot away from me, and I can smell that they've had a cigarette or they've been smoking. I've given lifts to people in my car that are smokers, and it's horrible. Like, it really is. I never realized how much it made me smell, if that makes sense. Like, it's not a smell of unhygienic, like you haven't showered, you haven't taken care of yourself, you don't look after yourself. It does smell like an ashtray. So when people sit there and say kissing a smoker is like licking an ashtray, they smell like ashtrays, I believe them. I really do. The number one thing that stopped me from smoking, what I called easing into quitting, so to speak, was I made myself a promise that I would only smoke at home. And I don't know if this would work for a lot of people. I honestly don't know, because every single person's different. But psychological wise, I promised myself I would only smoke at home. And I stopped going out. I stopped, like, hanging around people who just chain smoked. Now it doesn't bother me. I've got friends of mine that smoke like chimneys, but I can sit there and not even have any urge to have a cigarette, because what ends up happening is when you start going, oh yeah, I'll smoke at home, if you're out for the day, you realize that you don't need a cigarette, if that makes sense. You work out the difference between need and want. And don't get me wrong, I know it's addictive. I have sat back and I've had absolute fits. I was not yelling, that's probably not the right description, but I was getting frustrated, I was getting snappy, I was getting the withdrawals of, like, gosh knows what. And I sat back and I'm just like, every time I get frustrated with something, because smoking was an escape in a sense for me, because if somebody started going, like, it just, you know those people that talk kind of like what I'm like to so many people, but they talk, and then after like 5 or 10 minutes you sit there and you think, I can't deal with this anymore, I've had enough, I need to smoke. And it kind of gets you that you sit back, you have your chill time, you relax, you can sit there, and then you're good to go for another half an hour, 45 minutes before, like, you sit back after this person's just talking crap, whether it's politics, whether it's something that they're so opinionated on that you sit back and you're like, I don't care. But it kind of, it helps you, I suppose, in a sense, a coping mechanism. The other thing that I used to do was I used to, like, coffee. I had to give up drinking coffee when I quit smoking, because instinctively I related coffee and a smoke. It was sit down, have a coffee, and have a smoke. When I cut back on my coffee, I didn't feel the need to have a smoke. I mean, I felt the urge to have a smoke, but I didn't feel the need to have a smoke. So it was a very lengthy process, so to speak. It took about 3 or 4 months for me to completely just sit back and go, you know what, I really don't want them. The best advice I've got for people who are trying to quit smoking as well is don't quit with no cigarettes in the house. Don't feel ashamed if you sit back and go, nope, I want to smoke, go and grab one and have one. You are better off quitting with smokes in the house. I've heard of different techniques and different ways of doing things. I had a friend of mine who he used to stop and do push-ups, and it didn't matter where you were. He would do push-ups and sit-ups until he didn't feel like having a smoke anymore. So it's even funnier when you're trying to go shopping with him, and then you sort of go, did you, and you're sort of looking, and then all of a sudden he's on the ground doing his push-ups. Whatever works, okay? One gentleman, when I was working in retail, had actually said to me, if you want to quit, get a packet of smokes but never open them. And that worked for him. There was other ones that I've heard, chewing gum, using carrot sticks, using replacing your habit with something else, something more healthy or productive, whether that be running, jogging. But truthfully, the most effective way that I found was to eliminate the temptation by taking away the association. That was more what it was. But now, if I go to a pub or a club, I can actually stand outside with the smokers, and 9 times out of 10 I stand there for about 5 or 10 minutes, and then I think, no, this stinks way too much, like I'm going inside. And then I found as well who your true friends are, believe it or not, who your true friends are when you quit smoking, or you stop smoking, or you're trying not to smoke. Because then you get these people who are supposed to be your friends that know that you're trying to quit smoking, they know that you're struggling, but they still stand there and go, here you go, just have one. You can tell you want one. Now, it's like anything, you do have them occasionally, don't get me wrong, but I had nights when I got my nights off, obviously, when I went out, and I'd sit there and go, yeah, I'll just have one. And then I had another one, and then I thought, oh, this tastes disgusting. And then when I woke up the next morning, even after when I came home, I brushed my teeth, used mouthwash, had a shower, washed my hair. I'd done everything I could because the smell was disgusting. And then I'd wake up the next morning and my mouth would feel like the bottom of a corgi's cage. It was like I sat back, I'm going, oh, that's disgusting. And then you could taste it. So like you'd have your coffee and it was just, it throws your taste buds out, something cruel. I never realized how badly smoking actually throws your taste buds out. But with saying that, quitting worked for me. It was a struggle. A very big struggle, but I can assure you, when you know for a fact, like, because I was going through close to $100 a week in cigarettes, so which is like the equivalent over here of, I think it's like 4 packets, and no, I didn't smoke all those packets, okay, I want to be very clear on that, I didn't smoke all those packets. But when you'd have a smoke and you're around somebody who smokes and they're like, oh, can I just pinch one off you? This awful chain reaction starts. And what ends up happening is, because in a group of people, there's always one person who's still smoking when the other, say you're in a group of 4, there's always one person who's still smoking when the other 3 have finished. So then you get this awful chain reaction that happens. So because that person is still smoking, one person will stand there and go, oh, well, I'll have another one while you finish that one. And then the cycle doesn't break. You stand around and you will have close to 4, 5, 6, 10 cigarettes. Like, it doesn't break. Until somebody goes, oh, I might go boil the kettle, and actually puts their smoke out and goes inside to break that chain. Then you get another person that finishes their smoke and goes, yeah, well, I'll go help make a coffee. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, there's 2 people standing there left. It's like, yeah, well, when you finish the smoke, we'll go inside. That's how it breaks the chain. And this is where a lot of people who have never smoked don't understand. And I get it completely. I really do. But if people want to quit smoking, it is hard. And anybody who is a non-smoker that judges a smoker trying to quit that has a smoke here and there, it's the better thing for them, because what ends up happening is after they've finished their, I guess you put it down to what you call your 3 weeks. Your 3 weeks in general is the worst part of it all, because after the first week you're going, I just want a smoke. I really want to smoke. And you're trying to cut out these different habits, like places you go, where you sit in your house. If you smoke inside, the easiest way is to just go, nope, I'm only smoking outside. So if you're doing something inside the house, instead of lighting up a smoke inside, go, no, I'm going to go outside and have a smoke. So then you've got to get into that psychological mindset, or into that mindset that you can't smoke inside your house. So then you've got to smoke outside, which means that if it's cold or something along those lines, you're like, oh, do I really want to go out there and have a smoke? So then you're like standing in the doorway, so you're like half out of the door. And believe me, it is difficult. It really is. It is difficult, because what you end up doing is you're like, no, I want to quit. I want to quit. That is it. And then on this side you're going, well, one more's not going to hurt, or this isn't going to hurt, or if I just do this, it's going to be fine. There's so many things that you just come into, like, yeah. And then what I started doing, I ended up recently, the packet of smokes I've had sitting there for close to 5, 6 months, 7 months. No, I can't remember. Like, I don't know how long those packets of smokes have been, that packet of smokes has been sitting there. But I recently gave it to a friend of mine, because he's like, I've got no cigarettes. And I'm like, well, here, I'll go home, grab these, bring them back. And he's like, oh, okay, fine. I tried the e-cig. Like, I tried the e-cig. I've got one here. I will admit, I puff on that occasionally. But you know what I've realized when I use this? Is boredom. It is boredom. That's all it is. And I've started understanding that I smoked for something to do, or something to go, like, when I was cleaning, it was like, yeah, I need to take a break. But instead of just sitting down for like 5 or 10 minutes and going, yep, I'm going to have a coffee, sit down, and just look at everything and go, yep, well, I can put this here, change this around, move that a room, whatever. It was boredom. And I think people, and a lot of times, like, smokers will admit, without actually realizing, oh, it's just something to do. It's something to fill in time. It's something to go and think. So quitting smoking, for those non-smokers who are watching this, it is difficult, because it's a habit. And I guarantee you that you've got habits, okay, whether that be being a gym junkie, okay? You, 9 times out of 10, you will have to go to the gym either every night for an hour or 2, or every second night, or whatever fits into your routine. You sit there and you go, this is my routine, this is how I know this sounds like a really horrible comparison, but it is the truth. You have your quirky habits. You have habits that you do around the house. You have things that you just can't not do. Like, I know people that brush their teeth every 15-20 minutes. They've got to brush their teeth. It's like an obsessive compulsive thing. Putting that in the same category, probably not the best analogy, but at the same time it gives you an understanding of what goes through a smoker's mind. For those of you trying to quit smoking, just stick with it. The one thing that I used to do was, because eventually when I started having a cigarette, I'd sit there and go, oh, that's disgusting, that's making me feel sick. Then it turned into sniffing the packet. I know that sounds really, really ridiculous, but you know what, the one thing that I will say, like, the reason I did it is because the moment I opened that packet and smelt it, I thought, that's what I'm going to smell like after one smoke. It does sound ridiculous, but try it. If you can pick up the packet after the week and a half, 2 weeks of not smoking, pick up the packet and smell it. You will notice a really, really big difference. You will notice something that you never noticed before. How much it stinks. Like, it does. If you've been smoking in your car and you haven't smoked for 2 weeks and you've got an air freshener and all that sort of stuff in there that like sits on your little aircon, whatever, I don't know what you guys call it over in America, but like the cooling system, but it's the aircon, yeah. You can still smell the cigarette smoke. I understand fully why people crack it around people who smoke around children. I don't judge anyone. I really don't. I smoked when I was pregnant. I smoked when I smoked outside my house with my son like 10 foot away from me, sort of thing. But this is the thing. Smoking is smoking. You don't realize how bad of a habit it is until you stop doing it. And this is coming from somebody who smoked for 14 years, pretty much. So you don't realize how fast the years add up. You really don't. And I can assure you, my bank account's a bit more nicer to look at. I sat back and I thought, how the hell did I wind up spending like $100? Like, where the hell did I find the $100 to buy cigarettes for? You sit back and you start thinking about all these different things of going, how did I even afford it? Now, there are pros and cons to quitting. It is very difficult. The cons, smoking's everywhere. Okay, smoking is everywhere. It doesn't matter where you look, it doesn't matter what you do. Smoking itself is just, it's there. Kids smoke, adults smoke, the elderly smoke, like gym junkies smoke, people who are on construction sites smoke. Smoking is everywhere. If you honestly want to quit smoking, it starts with your mindset. It really does. It starts with you thinking, I am going to quit. Not, I think I can or I know I can. It is, I am going to quit. Not, I'm going to try. Because, believe me, if you sit there and say, I'm going to try and quit, it lasts about a week. That's the truth. It lasts about a week. But if you sit there and go, no, I'm quitting, that is it, then you start putting yourself in the mindset of, I need to put things in place to quit. So, as I said, most effective for me on quitting smoking was eliminating the temptation. Putting myself in situations where I would want to smoke. I go to people's houses now, I honestly sit back and they can be smoking like chimneys, and the worst part is when they smoke inside the house, and I sit back and I go, I'm just going to like go outside and have my coffee, and then I'll subtly, I'll just go outside and have my coffee, and then they go, oh yeah, we'll come too, and it's like, oh okay, no worries. Like, at least when you're outside and people are smoking around you, it's not as bad as what it is in a confined space, I can assure you. But it is, there's so many factors with smoking. People are so judgmental. They're like, I don't know how you smoke, I don't know how you do that. I've been there. I was a very heavy smoker, but the truth is, it's not the whole health-wise you feel fantastic and health-wise you feel this. It is, you do tend to feel better about yourself. Now, I don't judge, as I said, I don't judge people who smoke. I don't judge people who are in the process of quitting. I never say that they're trying to quit. I say that they're in the process of quitting. Because eventually, if you set your mind to it, you will get there. And you will achieve it. You will be able to sit back and go, I did it, I've quit, that's it, I'm done. But don't get hard on yourself if you have one smoke here or there. If you go to the pub with your friends, I'm trying not to yawn at the moment. If you go to the pub with your friends, just don't beat yourself up, okay? If you start sitting there going, I really want a cigarette, have one. But don't sit there and beat yourself up about it. See, you cannot quit something without easing yourself off it. You just can't. And cigarettes suck when it comes to trying to get over having them. But don't beat yourself up. People need to not judge. They need to be more supportive. Okay? I was very lucky when I started hanging around the very few friends that I actually had that were supporting my decision to quit. They actually stopped smoking around me. If they wanted to smoke, they actually excused themselves and went outside, or they went and sat in their car or something like that. They were like, oh, I'm just going to go make a phone call. And I didn't think much of it at first, but then I started noticing that when they were coming back, they were smelling of smoke, and I'm thinking, okay, what are you guys doing? But then I realized they were trying to not smoke around me because they knew that I was in the process of quitting, and I was trying not to have smokes just for the sake of having smokes. When I really felt like I wanted one, I had one. Like when I really felt like I needed one, I had one. But now I'll have 2 or 3 draws of a cigarette, and I feel sick. I really do. I can sit, and even being around like cigarette smoke in a confined space, if you've got like 50 smokers in like the outside of the pub area, you're sitting there going, yep, I'm going inside, bugger this, like, I'll talk to you guys when you come back inside. But it honestly does, like, you feel like you're being judged, and don't ever sit back. Please, if you are quitting, in the process of quitting, don't beat yourself up if you have that odd cigarette. But what I found for me, as I said, is always have cigarettes in the house. Always. Because it makes you second guess. It really does. It makes you second guess. You sit there, you open the packet, and then you go, do I really want it, or nah, I'll just have my coffee. And then you close the packet, you put it back up on the shelf where it was, you have your coffee, you sit down, watch a TV show, whatever you do while you have your coffee. And then after you have your coffee, you think, well, I didn't really need the smoke. And that's the type of mindset you need to get yourself in. But other than that, guys, that's pretty much, yeah, that's my, I guess you could say, my advice from experience on quitting smoking. But for those of you who don't smoke, never smoke, don't want to touch it, don't judge a person who does smoke, because you don't know the reasoning behind it. For those of you who are in the process of quitting, don't beat yourself up if you have like 1 or 2 smokes here and there. If you have gone from smoking a packet of 50s a day down to a packet of 50s a week, that's a good start. Okay, that is a fantastic start. For you to go from smoking that much a week down to a packet of 50s is brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. If you then cut back to a packet of 50s a fortnight, that's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. But you need to do this at your own pace. Okay, in the process of quitting, you have to do it at your own pace. If you can cold turkey, congratulations. That's all I gotta say. Congratulations, hands down, you are awesome if you can cold turkey. No person in their right mind can. I'm sorry, but it's like, because if you cold turkey, for some reason, it does the most strangest thing to you. You get angry, you get agitated, you get like, I really, really, really want to smoke, and then you can't think rationally. Like, just different things. Like, that's what I found with people who quit cold turkey. But then again, some people I know they can pick up a smoke, they can have 3 or 4 cigarettes, and then all of a sudden they won't smoke for like 3-4 weeks, maybe 3 months. And then when they're around the group, they're social smokers, I think they call them. And I can't do that. I honestly can't, because with smoking now, if I even pick up a cigarette and start having a smoke, if I get past that first smoke, I'll sit back and go, I'll have a second, then I'll have a third, then I'll have a fourth, and then before you know it, I'm toddling off down the shops to buy another packet of smokes. So I've pretty much just said to myself, nope, I don't need it now. And that's the mindset I got myself in. But the process of quitting sucks. Absolutely sucks. But honestly, guys, don't judge people on their habits, because everybody has habits. Every single person on this earth has a habit that annoys the crap out of someone. But smoking is it's a habit. And the amount of people I think I get frustrated with that say, I'm so addicted to them, I can't live without them, I've smoked for so long, this, da. That's a mindset, okay? And I can assure you, if you can get yourself out of that mindset, you will feel a lot better and feel a lot more capable of beginning the process of quitting. But that is your decision, okay? Me personally, quitting smoking was a very, very good decision of mine. Very, very good. Because I'm out doing a lot more things than what I normally would. When I do go out, I spend a lot more time with my friends, having coffee and spending the actual time with them in the shopping centres or wherever we are. Because I'm not constantly going outside to have a smoke. That's it. It's just a thought. That's all it is. It's just a thought. But for those of you who did ask me about the quitting smoking and all that sort of stuff, it is difficult. It is very difficult when you're in the process of quitting. So the best thing, if you are somebody who is supporting someone who is quitting, always be positive. If they have a smoke or they come to you and say, oh my gosh, I had like 2 cigarettes, just go, well, it was 2 smokes. It's fine. Like, it was 2 smokes. Look at it from a positive perspective. they've gone from smoking a packet of 50s to all of a sudden relapsing and having 2 smokes. Be fair, guys. Like, you've got to be fair. I hope this helped answer your question about the perspective of somebody who's quit smoking. But always, as I said, be supportive, be positive, and don't sit there and judge the person and make them feel like crap. Okay? Because if they have 2 smokes, they've had 2 smokes. Look at it from the positive perspective. Turn what they feel is a negative into a positive. And be supportive. Okay, guys? I hope this helped. Bye from down under.